In this video, we're going to be working on an example pretty similar to the row of blocks program we made last time. This one is just going to be slightly different. Here's what we're going to be making. And this program is going to be the pattern program. Now you might be looking at this being like, whoa, this looks way different than the row of blocks. But a lot of the same principles we used when we made row of blocks are going to hold here as well. Let's go ahead and open up pattern. Again, you can see right off the bat, there's a whole bunch of constants, including a start x and start y. Based on the row of blocks program, if you had to guess, what are those? They're actually the x and y coordinate of the top left corner of this first stripe here. So right here, that's start x, start y. Num stripes is pretty self-explanatory. We've got 12 total stripes on the screen. Each stripe has a width, which is, again, kind of how wide it is, and also a height, which is called stripe height. Now, we will also have to deal with this idea of colors. Obviously, these stripes are alternating colors between a pink and a red. We're going to worry first about just getting the pattern of the stripes on the screen, and we'll worry after about coloring them. So just to start, looks like similar to the row of blocks program, I'm repeating something over and over again. And that thing that I'm repeating is creating one stripe. Do I know exactly how many times I'm going to be repeating that? I do. If I know a number, that means I'm going to use a for loop. Let's do for int I equals 0. I is less than num stripes I plus plus. And what am I doing num stripes times? I'm creating a stripe. Let's do grect stripe equals new grect. And when we were working on the row of blocks program, we had a little bit of a conversation about my x coordinate and my y coordinate. In the row of blocks program, the y coordinate for every single block was actually the same, and the x coordinate was changing for every block. What about this one here? If we look at these stripes, I think it's actually the opposite. Isn't the x coordinate for them actually all the same, but as I add new stripes, I'm actually moving down, which would mean the y coordinate is changing? So I think for all of them, the x coordinate should be start x. And let's kind of think about that y coordinate. This is going to be some similar sort of mathiness to what we saw in the last example. We know that the first stripe starts at start y. We also know that every time I add on a new stripe, how much am I moving down by? In this case, don't I just start the next stripe at start y plus kind of an extra stripe height? So I'm going to do plus, similar to what we did last time, I times stripe height. Let me go on to the next line just to make this a little bit nicer. Let's do then width and stripe height. Don't ask me why these constants are named width, not just width and height, but width and stripe height or stripe width and stripe height. Just don't worry about it. Then for now, let's just add stripe. Like I said, we'll deal with the colors after. You'll notice here I'm actually also not filling them in. That's because if I filled them in right now without the colors, all we would see was one big black rectangle, which is not all that helpful. I want to check and make sure our pattern's actually correct. So let's compile this. And I'm going to get rid of this here. This is the completed version. Let me go ahead and run our program. I think it's hiding back here. Let's run pattern, and we should see a bunch of stripes. There we go. That looks pretty good. That looks like we have the pattern correct. Now we just have to think about the color. Now the question is, how are we actually going to do the color on this? There's a couple ways that we could do it, including something that we actually haven't learned yet, but I want to use skills that we actually already know. And in particular, I want to practice one thing that we haven't done in a little bit, which is actually going to be our if-else statement. Let's start our program off by saying the stripe color is going to be, I think pink was the first color. So let's do this. Color, stripe color. What have I done in this line? I have declared a new variable called stripe color. What type is stripe color? It's a color. Ooh, what does that mean? That means stripe color is going to be the abstract idea of some color in Java, which is a little funky to think about, but are we allowed to do this? We totally are. Here I'm going to set stripe color equals color.pink. That's what we're going to start with. Then let's do stripe.setColor to stripe color. Let's also fill it in. Let's do stripe.setFilled to true. If I run this right now, what should I see? If you said a big pink rectangle, you were correct. This was the world's most annoying way to make one big pink rectangle. What do I actually need to do is my color should be switching every time I draw a new stripe. So after we do all of this, let's do one other thing. Let's say the stripe that I just colored was actually pink. So let's say if stripe color. In computer science, to check that two values are equal, you actually need to use two equal signs. So we're going to say equals color.pink. If I just colored a stripe pink, what should the next stripe be colored? It should be red. So let's say stripe color equals color.red. I think there is a logical else on this if statement. Because what if the last stripe I colored wasn't pink? If I get to this else, that means I just colored a stripe red, and the next one should then be pink. So let's say stripe color equals color.pink. And now that I've coded this, I'll have this switching back and forth between the colors. Let's make sure that's the case. And there we go. Now we've kind of successfully made our pattern.